Welcome, David Earnhard. You are
Thank
the
you.
director of Uncounted, the new math of American elections.
Thank you.
Uncounted.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
The new math of, yeah, I've never been good with math, but we'll do what we can today, certainly.
Yeah.
And you are a card-carrying communist, correct?
Am I supposed to keep going? Sorry.
Just had to throw something in there. Keep going.
Yeah. Throw me off from the very beginning.
Do you remember the first time you voted?
Yes, I do.
When you made that vote, did you think, like, I have an impact on the outcome?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I assumed my vote counted. So I've learned since, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I definitely assumed it counted. And I do remember, you know, what I've heard a lot of people talk about is that almost church-like moment when you vote, which was it's a real sacred moment, you know, when the curtains closed, and these were the old lever style.
Which I love. What was wrong with that thing? It was dramatic, and it had that same sort of Vegas slot machine quality, which I really enjoyed. So you talk about this church-like quality going into the...
Sure. Sacred right, sacred right.
Sacred right.
Yeah.
But now does it feel like you're in some sort of David Koresh institution, or what's gone wrong? It doesn't feel like church to me anymore.
Well, I think it's, you know, no, it doesn't. I think it's very upsetting. Now, I had my period where I thought, these choices, you know, I really had a feeling that, and I don't really discount that not voting is an act. You know, not voting can be considered a rejection of the system, can be a rejection of the choices, and I don't necessarily, but I've kind of gotten over that.
We have a lot of rebels in this country, don't we?
Well, I've gotten over that. I think that actually, you know, we're in a country where the voting turnout is so low that I think actually it ends up creating a more passive community when you have a low turnout rate. So I think voting is a good thing. So I'm kind of vigilant about it now, especially after I've realized that maybe the right's being taken away. That makes me even more hardcore and stubborn about the whole thing.
I'm just waiting for the election where we get results that are 58% for one party and like 54% for the other party, and let somebody.
Well, you know, we did have that kind of something like that in the film where you had, you know, Gahanna, Ohio, where there were 638 voters, and somehow they ended up having 4,258 votes for George W. Bush. I think Bob Petraeus called it the greatest faith-based miracle of modern times. So,
a lot of multiple personality disorders in that town.
That's right. So in a sense, what you just said did happen 7 times. Right. So, yeah, you know, we need to separate voting and electronics. It's just not a good match.
But I trust an ATM with my money, and I get a paper receipt.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So why can't I get a good vote out of that? It seems fairly straightforward.
The problem is what you're talking about is the stakes to run our entire country. I mean, the stakes on this are actually higher than an ATM machine. And it's just too easy to manipulate these machines and it not be seen by the election official. That's the problem. It's just too easy to hide this stuff. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily it is being done. The point is that it is easy to happen. And that's the scary part.
I've got to say, I worked on an election here in Washington State, and that, even though it was paper, was a terrifying system. There are so many loopholes in that, to the point of like my driving the ballots to the place by myself. It's, you know.
Yeah. Well, and see, that shouldn't be. Right. You shouldn't be driving it by yourself.
Oh, I shouldn't be anywhere near the votes.
That's right. I mean, it should be.
I wanted that stadium built, damn it.
That's right. That's right. That's the scary part of paper ballots, is that you really do have to design an accountable system. You can't have Warren driving it by himself in a car. You know, you just can't. That doesn't work. It's just too easy to see how that could be manipulated. Certainly not, impugning your character here or anything.
Well,
what did you do with those ballots? So, yeah, but at least in that situation, you at least have a chance to see it. You can't see it in the computer.
Do you think we're at a point where the election process needs to take longer than it does? I mean, that...
Yes.
Because most people want their answers that evening by midnight if possible.
Yeah, I think we need to take time. I will say, though, that kind of makes a certain assumption that there's somehow, when you go to something where it's more hand counting, that's going to just take this extraordinarily long time, and that's actually not true. You know, a typical precinct might have 500. I mean, just think about counting 500. It's not an extraordinarily complex process. So, yes. Bottom line is yes, I think it needs to take whatever time it needs to take. I mean, it's only our democracy.